Okay, so when we talk about complex data types in Hive, right, there are basically 4 types of data types: arrays, maps, struct, and union. Union is very rarely used because it's not fully supported by Hive. But when we talk about array, array will be something like the same type of the list of same type of data. So either the array can contain number, or array can contain name or string, like my name, something like string, but it cannot have the mixture of this like this. It cannot have the mixture of two digits. Like this is not possible in array. So array can only be possible with only one data type. Okay, and array. So let's say array is index based, 0 index based, right? So let's say we have 5 elements in array: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I want to access the first element, and let's say the array name is my array, so how I will access this element? I will say select, and I'll show you practically, but select my array 0 from table name, like this. So it will give you 1, right? When I talk about map, map is a key value pair, unordered key value pair. What I mean to say unordered, and what I mean to say by key value pair, the map looks like this. So if you see here, map has primitive type and then data type. So it looks like this: map name. So let's say my map underscore name is, let's say, map name, and it will be key value. So k1 and value 1. The key can be, let's say, age, and the value can be 13. So it is separated by some format. Maybe it can be anything. Let's say it's colon here, but it is unordered key value pair, right? The one restriction with map is the keys cannot be repeated. Okay, there cannot be 2 age type in the same map. Okay, when I talk about a struct is all about structure inside a structure, I can say. So let's say I have address field, like column name, data type. Let's say I have address struct, right? So struct is something we write as struct address, and then we will have something like name of street, something, country. So we can have any structure, right? It's a complex structure type. I'll show you the example in 2 minutes. When we talk about union, I to be honest, I never worked on union, and that's why I don't know the details. Okay, so let's cover a few examples. Okay, so before I jump to the examples of complex data types, in any SQL language, right, there are 3 types of commands: DDL, DDL, sorry, what's going on? DDL, DML, and DCL, right? So when we talk about DDL, it's the data definition language. Definition means whenever we are creating table, whenever we are creating indexes, when we are creating views, whenever we are creating something or altering something, So create and alter, right? When we talk about DDL is data definition language, data modification language. When we modify the data, means when we are inserting the data or updating the data. Here in DDL, we are talking about structure. In DML, we are talking about real data, right? So it may be insert, update, delete, something like this. When we talk about DCL is data control language. Who can view the data, giving roles and responsibilities, different kind of stuff, right? So in Hive, we will be covering DDL and DML. We won't be covering DCL because there is not much DCL in Hive. Okay. So now the question, whenever we want to create some table, what kind of command it will be? It will be DDL command, right? So let's say if I want to create a table for you guys, just to show you some collection example. So one more thing which I need to tell you, when I go to Hive data type, these things are called complex data types, obviously, and this we call collection as well. So there are two names, collections or complex data types. Why collections? Because it's collection of some data. It's not a singular data, right? It's array is set of same set of data. Map is key value pairs, set of key value pairs. A structure is complex data type, like data inside the data. So we are calling it collections, right? So I have created one table called collection underscore example, in which I have one ID, right? I have one list of languages. List means array. So array of string, and then property of map. Okay, so here's the right command. So array of string and properties of string and string. So it means key is string, value is string, right? So when I'm creating a table, right? So when I'm creating a table, when I'm writing if not exist with the table. So what does mean? That if we have table in the Hive already, then don't throw an error, skip the command. If table is not there, please create the table. Okay, let me show you now. So this table I already created. If I try to create it again, it won't give any error because the table is already there, right? Let's try quickly. So this is Hive. So first of all, let me show you show tables. So we already have collection underscore example here, right? But let's try to create this table again. Wait 1 second. Yeah, so nothing happened, right? Nothing happened. Did it set the table already exists or some error? No. Why? Because of this thing. So it's always preferable to use, let me zoom in for you guys. So it's always preferable in 100% cases, if not exist command in most of the cases. Even we can blindly use this, like it is never be harmful for us, okay, in production. So what I did here, I created a table. Let me describe it for you guys. Okay, so see, when maybe I'm not explaining few commands to you, that they're self-explanatory, right? So if I want to see the structure of the table, I will use describe command. So I'll say describe collection underscore example, right? So see now, so we have 3 columns. The first column is ID, int type, languages, array of strings, properties, map of strings, map of string, comma string. What this indicates? That key is string, value is string, right? What I did, I put some data into it. One second. Select star from collection underscore example. So if you see here, we have ID1. What languages this guy know? The ID1 knows 3 languages. That is Java, C++, C#, and Python. He has 21 year. He is 21-year old, and gender is male. So this is key value pair, and this is array, right? So let me go to document now. So I was just explaining you how the data looks like in map and in array in Hive. So array will have square brackets, right? And map will have curly braces. Okay. So now let's go here and in fact, okay. So let's say if I want to see properties properties means what? Properties means this thing. If I want to see the properties and size of the properties, size of the property means how many elements are there in map, then I'll run something like this. So what it showed me that it has 2 elements, like every property has 2 elements. Apart from the last property, it has 1 element, right? And this is how, let's say if I want to select how this example can be used in production. Let's say if you have a map in which there are 4 properties, age, gender, salary, or something else, and you want to see the outlier in which only 3 properties are there, you can have where size is equal to 3. Properties, size, properties is equal to 3, right? And you can have that outlier came, where the data is missing. Okay. One more thing when we talk about map, right? So map has 2 things. I already told you, map has keys and values, right? So if we need to see the keys and values separately, we will go something like this. Properties is full map, right? Properties is the full map function, the not map function, the full map structure. Then if we want to see only keys, we will go map underscore keys and the property and the map name. So the properties is the map name, map underscore keys is the function which will give us all the keys of the property, and then map underscore values here. Yeah, map underscore values will give us the value. Okay, so see now. So this is the full property, right? Full map. What are the keys here? Age and gender are the keys. So here it will show you array of keys, and then what the values? 21 and male, something like this. So map underscore keys and map underscore values will give you keys and values on the map. Okay, and yeah. So now let's say right now what I'm doing, I'm just selecting the full map, right? But if I, let's say if I only want to see the age or some value from the map, what I will be doing, I will be doing something like this. So let's say we have age and gender here, right? If I only want to select age as a single value of every row, I'll do doing something like this. Okay, and this example I showed you, but let me explain it again. Language is array, right? And if I want to see the first language of each row, how I will be doing it? I'll be arrays are index based, 0 index based. So if I want to see the first element, I will be saying, give me first element, that 0 based element from languages, and it will show something like this. Okay, so this is how you need to work with complex data types. What else is there? Yeah, so when you work with struct, right? So how you need to work with the struct? The same thing, like you work with key value pair, but in struct you can have yeah, so you can have any number of columns, any number of any type of column, the same thing. Okay, let me show some example. Yeah, see here. So what I did, I was trying to create a struct here, and in struct we have temperature with int column, humidity as int, and comment as string. Okay. Now one most important thing in Hive, whenever we talk about collection, right? Collection means complex data types. Obviously, collections needs to be separated. Collection item needs to be separated by something. For example, we talk about array, right? So array can have element like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But this delimiter can be anything. This delimiter can be pipe. This delimiter can be hash. Same applies to map. Let's say K1, K1, V1, right? How K1, V1 are separated from K2, V2? Maybe hash or maybe something else. So how these elements are separated by each other, we need to give that collection items terminated by this. Okay, let me show you now. One more thing. So when I say describe here, right? So describe collection underscore example. When I say, when I just hit describe underscore collection example, it just show me only rows, only the data types and the column names. But if I want to see lot of detail, like where the data is stored, what is all about, I'll say data describe formatted. So what this describe formatted gave me, let's go from the top. So obviously it gave the same thing, like it has 3 columns, right? The database is default. I'll cover the database in 2 minutes. Owner is Cloudera, right? The location, I'll cover this location now. I'll copy it, and the location is this. It has manage table. Manage table means internal table. I'll cover in a lot of detail in this lecture. One more important thing which I need to show you, this one. The collection delimiter. The collection delimiter is pipe. So for example, let me copy this, okay? And let me go here and I will say Hadoop fs-ls, where this data is stored. I'll just paste it here. Wait 1 second. Copy and then paste it here. So what it's going to show me, it will show me some file, right? This is the file what we are reading from that into that Hive. So it has collection types underscore CSV. So if I want to read this file manually, so collection underscore types dot CSV, and I will say I just need to see the data of this file. Get. So let it come. So if you see here, see, and let me copy it for you guys there. So when I go to the top, right here, and I paste it here. So what when I created this table, right? When I created this table, what I was telling Hive, these 2 lines are very important. That collection items terminated by pipe. Collection item terminated by pipe means this is for one collection, right? This is my one collection. So my collection items are terminated by pipe, right? And my map keys is terminated by colon. So this is my map. Age and 21 is key value pair. Gender and male is key value pair. So my keys and values in the map are separated by colon. So this is how Hive reads the data. So yesterday I was telling you one example, right? So whenever we are creating table, right? So whenever we are creating table, what is going on behind the scene? Let me cover that in 2 minutes. So when you created this table, right? This file is on LTFS. This file is on LTFS. This table will go into MySQL Metastore, right? So whenever you write queries like select star from collection underscore example, what is going on behind the scene? This query will go to Hive driver. Hive driver will connect to the MySQL Metastore. It will see the column structure or the table structure. Then it will put that table structure onto the top here, and it will give the structure here, and it will give the result back to you, something like this, right? And so this is how Hive works. So to make Hive work, obviously we as a coder need to tell everything to Hive, how data looks like to it, how collection items are separated, how lines are terminated, how map keys are terminated. So this line, right? What this line is telling you, in fact, let me cover this in more detail. Okay, 1 second, guys. Basically, this is important thing, so I'm just covering in detail. So these 4 lines are very important. So whenever we are working with Hive table, so obviously create a statement is good, everything is good, but this is the most important thing, right? So when we talk about formatting, how do we need to tell Hive about our data, what we put on HDFS? So this is our data, right? This is the data what we want Hive to read, right? So what we are telling Hive that, okay, over this data, create a table called collection underscore example. It has 3 columns: ID, which is integer, languages, which is array, this one, and properties, which is map, this one, right? And we can put comment, you can ignore it for now, but the most important things are these 4 lines. What we are telling Hive that, okay, in that file which you are going to read, we are asking Hive, in the file which you are going to read, it has row format delimited fields. It has delimited fields. It means the fields are properly delimited. Now Hive will ask you, okay, in which way the fields are delimited? You will say the fields are terminated by comma. So it means fields are delimited by comma. There is a comma between field, first field, second field, and third field. Collection items are terminated by this. So when we are talking about the collection item, these 2 collection items, so they will be terminated by pipe, right? Map keys are terminated by this. So key1, K1 value 1 will be like this, K2 and V2. This makes sense to you guys, right? So now forget about Hive. Now even any human being or any software program can understand that, okay, there's a file in which obviously there are map keys, there are item terminated, there are field terminated, and there are 3 columns. And that's why when we write select star from table name, the whole process, this whole metadata will be read, and that the result will come to your terminal, right? Now one more question arises, right? I created this table for you guys. The table, did I mention any location here? That, okay, how the mapping between this table and this data took place, and where the mapping took place? I created this table, right? But how did I tell Hive that, okay, this is the data or this is the metadata for this table, right? So now coming to the 2 most important things. One is called manage table and one is called external table. Okay, now I'll cover the manage table. So whenever we are not mentioning any location, whenever we don't mention any location, and whenever we don't use external keyword into the create statement, it will be an internal table or manage table. Now what we mean by that, let me explain in a lot of detail. Okay, so right now when I say, not here, when I say describe formatted, right? So what it said, that the data has been stored here. Data has been stored here in where? User, Hive, warehouse, and then the table name. So whenever, and this is the important interview question, whenever you create a internal or managed table, the data will always be stored in user, Hive, warehouse location or directory. This is the default location for managed or internal tables, right? And the question arises, let's say here, right? So when I go for, one second guys, sorry, this one. So if I just want to see what is there inside warehouse directory, right? So it will show you the databases which it has. Okay, so right now I have only, oh, I don't have any databases. So it means I have only tables. So let's say, and it's the same concept what we have in MySQL DB. So let's say if I create database my first DB, right? So it will create a database for me. If I hit this query again, so what it's gonna be showing, it will show me the database here. So see now, this line. So what that mean? And now, let me show you one more thing. I created one database. Now let's say I used that database, right? Use my first DB. And I create the same table here. In fact, let me go here. Yeah, this one, right? So I create this same table here. It should create. Why? Because I'm not in the default database. I'm in my create table database. So it will create the table. Now, if I say show tables, it will show me only one table here, collection of example. Now, one more important thing. If I now go here, now this is important. See. So if I go here, it will still show me the same directory structure. No, where is my collection? This collection underscore example is from default database. Where is the table collection underscore example inside my first DB? So to see that table, you need to go here. My first DB dot DB. So when you go here, you can see here collection underscore example. So this is how the data has been stored. See this thing, right? This is how the data has been stored in your Hive warehouse directory behind the scene. Okay, so this is how internal data is stored, right? Now let me tell you one more thing. So let's say if you want to delete this table, right? If you want to delete this table, what's gonna be happening to the data? What's gonna be happening to the data? So let's say if I say drop table collection underscore example. So what's gonna happen now? If I hit it again, the table is gone from here, right? So the table will be gone. Like there will be no directory here now, right? So now, okay, so there's no directory. So what happened in manage table? Let me go here and let me 1 second. This one. Oh yeah. So what happened that when we talk about manage tables, the table is stored in warehouse directory path only. This is what I explain in a lot of detail, right? When we drop the table and the data like metadata. So whenever we drop the table, the metadata will be gone in any case. But in case of manage table, the data will be gone, right? And in the create table statement, we won't be using external keyword, because if we use the external keyword, it will be external table, right? So now the question arises, when do we need to use external tables, and what is the difference between external tables and internal or managed tables, right? So one difference what you guys can easily identify, that managed table is someone which is managed by Hive. Why we are calling it managed table? Why we are calling it managed table? Because it is completely managed by Hive. It means its data and its metadata is completely managed by Hive. So when we drop the table, data and metadata both are gone. When we talk about external table, you do not need to do anything. You just need to say create external keyword in the create statement, and you need to give the location, right? Because external table metadata, in external table, metadata is managed by Hive, but data is not managed by Hive. Data is managed by this location, So whenever you create the external table, you need to use the external keyword into the create statement, and you need to give the location into the create statement from where it needs to read the data. And when you drop the external table, the data will be intact. Your metadata is gone. Now, the most favorable question which interview asks, where do we need to use internal tables and where do we need to use the external tables, right? So in ideal world, in production world, you have SDFS, and you have lot many small files here or blocks here. The question is, you are not the only, and the concept is you are not the only owner of these files. There are 10-15 teams who are using this data lake or SDFS, right? If you create internal table and you drop the table mistakenly or by purpose, this data is gone. It means if this data is shared across various applications, various teams, internal table is not the right solution. It means in most of the scenarios in production, you will be using external tables. Okay. So if you see, when you drop the table, only metadata will be dropped from the meta store, right? Tabular data will be persisted on SDFS path. External tables will store data in external location of SDFS only, right? External tables are external to Hive warehouse path. Okay, so this is the major difference between external and internal table. Okay, if somebody asks you which tables you use generally, you'll say generally we use external tables, because in my company there are lot many people and lot many teams and lot many applications are using this data, so it's always preferable to use external table. Okay, so this is all about internal external tables, right? So right now we only created internal tables. So where this one is good. Okay, I was here somewhere. Yeah, perfect. So create table statement is very clear to you guys, right? So I have covered create table statement. I have covered describe table statement. So in the describe table statement, let me show you one more thing. So I'll say, I'll just go up. Okay, so just one question, right? From where the Hive will come to know what is its default warehouse directory. So there's one file called hive site.xml. I don't want to cover it, but we can mention the hives in hive site.xml. Let me write it for you guys. Hive site.xml. In this file, this is underscore etc. In fact, let me show you quickly. cd etc hive conf, and when you say lsf and ltr, we have hive underscore site.xml. So in this hive site.xml, you have all the where your meta store is, where your driver is, what your driver is, different kind of stuff is there. Okay, one more thing which I need to show you. I'm always telling you that you have use let's say okay, so let's say we have this meta store, right? Okay, so I was telling you in the past session that we in this case, in the Cloudera quick start VM case, I have my meta store stored in MySQL, Hive meta store. This is the meta store I was talking about. So let me show you. Use meta store. I'll show you something, you know. And when I say show tables, so when we see here, this one. So select start from dbls. Sorry, what's going on? Control C. Okay, so if you see here, these are the same table what I was showing you, right? So I'm not in Hive, I'm in MySQL Metastore. So, and see, every table what I created is managed table, right? It shows me everything, and when I created it, whatever, and there are n number of tables, right? So there are n number of tables which Hive used behind the scene to get the metadata out of those tables. Like we have table columns, table params, sort columns, n number of things. We do not need to go there because that's not meant for us. But now this is what I'm showing you. So whenever I'm creating a table, right, every table has been created here in the Hive Metastore. The warehouse directory, we have the physical location. Hive Metastore, we have the metadata. Okay. So we have covered this in detail. Now let me go to Hive commands. Okay. So now see, I have covered many things in details, but let me tell how we can start Hive, right? So we can start Hive in 3 ways, right? The first and the most easy way is to just go to the terminal, like this terminal, say Hive, and it will start the Hive for you, right? The second way is, and the most recommended way of the industry, is the beeline. Okay, let it in fact it's taking time, so I'll say Control C. So actually it's the same command, but let me show you beeline command. Okay, so beeline, and in beeline you need to say -u and then JDBC Hive2. Let me write it for you. -u -u then JDBC and then Hive2. So it will start beeline at, like, beeline is almost the same thing, but let me show you some differences when it open. Okay, and the third way is hue. So hue is the user interface or graphical user interface, you know. When we go here on to there, and so this is hue. When you go to the port 8888 in Cloudera, you will start hue, and here you can go to anything. Like for example, if I refresh the database, right? So I have all the tables which I have there. Okay, my machine is a bit slow, but it will show you all the graphical interface what you are having there. Okay, so when you go back, you can have the new database. My first database will be there. So you can work with Hive in 3 ways: Hive, beeline, and hue. Okay, now let's go to beeline. So this is how beeline is. So in beeline, as a user, as an end user, you do not need to worry about it. You will almost use the same command, but see the difference. Show tables, no current connection, right? What's going on? Control C. So to come out, you will say Control C. I'm not sure what's wrong gonna happen. So I'll copy it again. Control C, B, paste. Meanwhile, it's connected. Let me go ahead, and then I showed you, right? Every data in your managed table is stored where? It's stored in Metastore directory or the Hive warehouse directory. Okay. So now it's taking too much time. Ideally, it's not. Okay. So it's connected now. So let me very quickly show tables. So see, it will now see the difference, right? So this is my Hive. This is our Hive. If I show tables here, so it will show, in fact, use default, and now show tables. it will not show table in tabular format. It will only show tables like this, right? But if we go here and show tables, see the difference. Which is more readable? This one or this one? So the hue is more readable, more user friendly. You know, so not hue, this beeline. Okay, that's why it's always preferable to use beeline. Okay. One more question arises that, let's say if I want to use Hive query from terminal, not from Hive shell, but from terminal, right? So how I can use it? I can say Hive -e means query, and then select, or let's say show databases, simple. Show databases. It will connect to Hive, it will run the query, and it will show the result to us. Let's see. So this is how you're gonna be running the commands in production, because obviously when you have some join between 2-3 different tables, how you will be connected to the database, you will run the Hive -e and then some command, you know, it will run in 2 minutes. And let's say if you have a file in which you have 2-3 Hive commands or Hive queries, and you want to run them together, then what you can do, you can see this worked, right? So I did Hive -e show database, and it worked for me. These are the database. Now let's say if I have a file called my Hive queries.hql, right? And I have queries like I have queries like select, or in fact here also show database, show databases. Okay, and I'll say, I'll save it. What's going to happen? 1 second. Not sure what's going on. I show databases semicolon. I'm creating a file here. Can't open a file for writing. Oh, sorry. I know what's going on. So basically, if you see, where am I? Where am I? I'm inside configuration directory of Hadoop, right? And that's why it's not allowing me to run or create any new file, because obviously this is, and I'm not an administrator. I logged in as Cloudera, not as administrator, right? So I'll go to cd temp, and then I'll create the same file, my Hive queries dot HQL, and then I'll say I press the I button here, and I'll say show databases semicolon, and now it will save quickly, not a big deal. I'll say Hive. Now since I need to run the file, it will say Hive -f my, and it will run. Okay, so there are a few ways to run. Obviously the first way, you can run to Hive command. Second way, you can go you can use -e flag if you want to run from terminal. If you have multiple queries, you can use -f flag. Okay. Meta store, I have showed you that how data has been stored. Describe formatted, describe extended, we have done it. Now the most important question arises, and nobody asked me this question. You created the table, now how you inserted data into that table, how you inserted a table data into a table, right? So let me cover it for you guys. So let's say I just created a table without any details, how my fields are terminated, how my collections are terminated. I don't know anything, right? I just created the table. Okay, so see now, this Hive -f file, and I have created that SQL file. In that SQL file, I have written show databases. So what it did, I didn't did any rocket science. I said Hive -f and my SQL file. What it did, it connected to Hive, it connected to driver and all. It ran the thing and it showed me my two databases, default and my first TV. Okay. In fact, show databases, show tables here. Okay, so let's say if I have my table as my first table here, I've created it, right? Using create statement, I describe it, describe my first table. So it has 3 columns: category ID, department ID. Most important thing, it has integer, and string, right? So the first and the most stupid way to insert data into department ID is this thing: insert into my first table values 1, 1, and let's say department is test. So one thing what you need to see here, that when we insert a string, it should always be in double quotes or single quotes. Okay. So, and one more stupid thing is, even though I'm just inserting one row, it is activating map reduce job. It is taking too much time, you know, like this is not the right way, right? If I want to ingest 1000 row, will it take 1000 seconds, right? So this way is gone. Like obviously it's for testing, and this way is not the ideal way to ingest the data, right? So let it get run. Now the question arises, what is the most easy way to ingest data into a table, right? So the most easiest way is using local in path file or local path file. What this means is, let's say you have SDFS and you have your local file system, right? So if you have data file, into your local system, then you will use load data, and I'll show the command local in path. Local in path. Let me write it clearly. In path. If you have data in HDFS, you will use load data. Local is gone directly from in path, and then the path of the file. Okay, let me do it for you. So still it's running. Let me cancel it. I'm killing the job, okay? So it's taking time. Now I'll go to Hive again. So let me go here. So inside temp database, right? So I have created one test data directory for you guys. And inside this directory, I have different data types. Like for example, I have orders data, I have collection data, I have UDF data, and part M00. Let me see what is in part M00. Okay. So in part M00, what I have the same int, and some string, right? I have int, and some string. Okay. So now I open a Hive here and I show tables. Okay, and I have one table called categories. So I will describe it. Describe formatted and categories. Okay, so what I want to show you here, that this is the most important thing, right? I told you that my fields are delimited by comma. My lines are terminated by or delimited by new line, right? And my serialization is nothing. So when I go here, I can clearly see here in this file, my fields are terminated by comma, and I have a new record on each separate line. So my lines are terminated by new line character, right? So let's say, and this is in my local, this is not in the HDFS, right? So let's say if I want to load this file into my into the table. So let me see quickly now. Select. Let's see first we have data here or not. See your categories, right? Okay. So we have 94 records. So let's delete everything. Delete start from. I'm not sure delete start work or not. Let's try. Categories. It won't work. Okay. Anyways, so let me do one thing, right? So there are few ways to create table as well. We can create table from another table. Let me show you guys. So this is called CTAS, create table as select. So I'm just doing create test underscore C as select. And since I don't want to bring data, right, select star from categories where 1 equal to 2. Why I wrote 1 is equal to 2? Because I don't want to bring any data, and this where clause won't satisfy. It will only import the metadata of this table. Okay. What happened is, oh sorry, create table. Okay, so now it's running MapReduce job for me. It will create the table. So this table test underscore C will be having the same structure, same delimiter, everything will be same as categories, but the only thing is it won't be having any data. And this is how, when I ask you to create a staging table, you will create your staging table like this. Okay, not sure it will create, but let's take 2 more minutes. So this, let me explain this command till then. So we call these commands when we create table from another table. We call those statements as CTAS, create table as select, right? So we try to create table from CTAS statement. Okay, let it run. Meanwhile, let me explain a few more things. And what else we can do? So obviously we can load data from local, we can load data from SDFS, and the most important way, we can load data from one table to another table, right? So right now when I was doing CTAS, I wrote where 1 equal to 2, and why I wrote, so that this condition won't match anywhere, so none of the rows will be imported. But if I skip this row and if I say create table test underscore 1 as select star from table, so it will create the table test 1 as tab, and it will bring all the rows there. So this is how we can create table with data, right? Now the question arises, how do I need to insert data if I don't want to create? So in this case, this statement will remain as it is, and we'll say insert into, let's say we have test 1 already created as select star from table 1. Okay, let's see if the table is created or not. Yeah, table is created. So now what a table, I created test C, right? So let me select star from test underscore C. There's no record, right? Now let me load data from where? From here, right? Load data from where I'm importing? From local in path. Load data local in path. In single quotes, I will say TMP and then test data, and then part m, how many zeros? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where I need to import? Into table test underscore c. Okay, see how fast it is. Did it imported any MapReduce job? I was inserting one row. It was so slow that I need to cancel that row so that I can move ahead. But here it worked like charm, select star from test underscore c. See now. Oh, one more important thing. Now this is very, very interesting thing. We have 64 rows here. All the rows has null values. Any idea why? Right? When we go here, I have real values, but when I go to my table see, I ingested this file here. All values are null. Any idea why? Not sure. Let me show you guys. Describe formatted test underscore c. So see, this is very, very important thing. When we talk about here, we don't see any delimiter. So whenever we are creating table as select statement CTAS, it is not copying the metadata or copying the delimiter or anything. The default delimiter what Hive has is control A character. But here the delimiter is comma, right? And that's the only reason we don't have the data coming in the proper way, because Hive don't understand what is the delimiter, so it put everything as null. Okay, now let's say so how many rows are there in this table? In this we have 64 rows, right? So let's say, just for your information, if I insert these rows into categories, so categories, right? Because obviously I don't want to create a new table for you guys with delimiter and all, so I just created this. So now if I select this table again, initially it was 64 rows. Ideally now it should be more rows, so we have 128 rows, right? Now let's say if I want to not append rows but overwrite rows, so I'll say overwrite here, overwrite in the local, this one. So I'll say overwrite, and if I select the table name, it will have only 64 rows. 64. That's how the local local load in path works, right? The same way SDFS will work. If you have that file in SDFS, you will need to put local path only, right? If you need to overwrite the data, you will have overwrite there. If the delimiter is not matching with the metadata, it will always be null. This is the most important learning. Okay. This is good. Okay, I think we are good for today. I'm stopping the recording.